Hey guys, what's up? Game Pizza Boy here, host of the Pizza Party. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing great, and welcome to our first video from Marvel Rivals. I have been recently playing this game for quite a while. I've been having way too much fun enjoying this game, and I'm ready to just discuss some fun content ideas for sure. And why not better do it than Season 1 that just came out just yesterday. So I've been playing a couple games, enjoying the recent new season, tried out all the different cool buffs and nerfs of the heroes, tried out both of the two new maps, the Sanctum Sanctorium and Midtown, which was really fun. I had a great time. The season's all cool cosmetics for the battle pass is also pretty cool too as well. But my main focus I want to do for today's video is actually the two new heroes. As you know, the Fantastic Four is now here, so we now have Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, Human Torch, and the Thing. Well, at least Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman right now, though, as both the Thing and the Human Torch are not here right now, available to play as right now. My guess they're still working on the characters right there, so we just get Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman just for this first part of the season for now. So we'll just have to wait and see when we'll be seeing the Human Torch and the Thing someday. I really want to play the Human Torch so badly. But I wanted to at least get on this video to discuss everything about what we have Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. I'll be going through their abilities and all that stuff. And I will kind of explain my thoughts completely on everything, what to expect, everything. So I'll tell you guys everything you need to know about these two new heroes. And then I'll give you guys my personal thoughts and what you guys can do with them. So let's begin. As always, if you do enjoy the content here, don't forget to like the video, comment down and tell me, who do you guys like? Do you guys like Mr. Fantastic? Do you guys like the Invisible Woman? Who do you prefer more? What are your thoughts on it? I want to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate your support as always, folks. Now let's get into it and let's discuss both the two new heroes of the Fantastic Four. Okay, let's go and get things started with the heroes right now. And I'm going to start off first is my boy Mr. Fantastic, who's someone I've been very much looking forward to. Though I have quite a lot of thoughts about him, how I feel after trying him out for quite a few matches. So let's get right into his abilities. Of course, the first one I'll of course talk about is his main attack ability right here, which is known as Stretch Punch. The Stretch Punch ability is basically an infinite ammo base attack, so you won't run out after all because, well, he's using his hands, of course. It's a very straight type of attack. Basically, he'll shoot out his hands and stretch them to his enemies, and if you manage to hit your enemies with them, of course, you will deal some damage to them, of course. It has a pretty good range, so you can reach out pretty well, very much. You can reach out pretty far and get enemies with that, which is honestly really cool. I actually love it. It's a really fun attack to use, and it's pretty hilarious sometimes. There's also a little trick I think I've seen people use, which I've been trying myself out, which if you like time it like right, even if you slightly miss enemies and like kind of drag your hand around, and once you do your attack, you can actually still hit them when your hand comes back, or hit like multiple enemies or whatever. So it's a pretty interesting little, nice little attack right there. You can swing and attack multiple targets at the same time, besides the one target a little bit. You can get a little bit of that attacks here and there. So it's honestly really cool. Honestly, it is really, really cool, and I love it. It's really funny as hell, so much. Then we got his passive ability, which is called Elastic Strength. Basically, whenever you attack enemies, you'll see this little meteor right in your middle thing, where it's like similar to how Wolverine has it, or Doctor Strange has their own little passive ability similar to like that. And as you build up this charge up bar right here, it will allow you to gain a little more elasticity, and it will allow you to boost your attack power and do more stuff. Basically, once you reach 100%, Mr. Fantastic will basically go into this like full mode where he's like buffed up and strong all of a sudden for a few seconds. It lasts for like 6 seconds. And basically what it will do is it will allow you to just trigger this inflated state and grant yourself a little more shield boost and boost your damage completely. So you'll be able a little more easily to get out there and deal some damage and take them all out and just go crazy with that right there and just take a little more hits, basically making you kind of a little like a mini tank basically with some extra damage right there. It's a pretty fun passive ability that I do definitely enjoy a little bit there. One of his abilities, the right mouse button, or whatever your button is on your controller, but I'm referring just to PC-wise, but the right mouse button is the Distended Grip, which makes it where you will be able to extend your arms forward when using it, and if you manage to hit an enemy, you'll grab them and entangle them, leaving them stuck right there, and you could choose either to push the button to then pull the enemy towards you, or select and yank another enemy instead, and knock them airborne against each other, which is honestly probably one of the most funniest things you could probably do, of course. I think it's pretty hilarious right there. I think it's a really fun little ability to use sometimes, a little bit there, here and there, most of the time too as well. I mean, like, you just knock people around like that and just just pull them off like that. It's just hilarious. I love it, and then it's really hilarious. Then there is the E button ability one, which is the Flexible Elongation, and this just makes it where you will, whenever you select a target, you'll jump to them and lock on and dash towards them, and it will gain you a shield And if it's an ally, they will also grant them shields, basically. So it gives them a little more protective from a damage, a bit more. Or if you do to an enemy, you'll just deal damage to them too as well. So then there's the shift one, which is the reflexive rubber, and basically just turns you into like an absorb damage based attack right there, where anyone shooting at you you'll absorb the energy, and once enough charge goes through, that certain amount of charge will be reflected back into a laser to deal that amount of damage as possible. So you'll basically just kind of absorb it all. It's a really good shield way to protect your allies and to reflect the damage back to your enemies. So I definitely recommend that for sure. Definitely to time it right for sure. Then here's ultimate, which is the Brainiac Bounce, which allows you to leap upward and smash the ground, slowing enemies within range, and then leap again upon landing a hit. This will allow you to just kind of jump around a bit and stick within a certain range, and you'll deal quite a lot of damage to anyone who dares to, be in your paths. For my final thoughts so far on Mr. Fantastic, I actually really do enjoy playing as him, but I will say this, I think he's considerably one of the weaker DPSs of the duelist side, in my opinion, mostly because of the fact that he really doesn't have a very good lineup of many different attacks that involve a lot heavily amount of damage. He's really good in the DPS when it comes to utility. His main attack right there is the only thing I would say that could deal some pretty good damage for sure, but everything else would probably take some time besides probably just the Brainiac Bounce, which you still need to charge up for. His Elastic Strength is probably the other best one that's pretty good too, but again, you won't get it too often until you charge it up, which will take some time. And even then, enemies, once they see you getting ready to charge up, they will get back on you probably for sure. As for the other abilities, his Distended Grip is fun to use, but it takes a lot of aiming and practice. You have to really, really aim for that for sure, so it could be pretty tricky. But once you kind of get used to it, you kind of get a better idea. But it doesn't deal a lot of crazy damage either. It's very good for utility just to help your teammates out completely. That's one thing I want to say real quick as I move on right now, is that the entirety of Mr. Fantastic to me is good in the duelist side of things when it comes to his utility of abilities that could be used to help him get the upper hand on enemies or to help his team out get the upper hand on the enemies. So that's pretty much where I kind of see where that kind of plays out for sure. The flexible elongation definitely also was a pretty good one to use just to help out for escapes, in my opinion, though. But as for like any DPS phase, it's not really that terrific very much. That bonus help, that small bonus help is really nice, honestly. The reflexive rubber, I enjoy his ability a lot, even though I know a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people tell me, I've checked out before about this, not really crazy a big fan of it as much. But, I mean, it's because I think the charge-up thing is not as powerful, though, because, usually, typically, the damage of it is, not crazy, unless it's some kind of ult, but if it's, a regular attack, it's not going to be terrific. But definitely getting the most value out of it to shield your enemies, I would say it's pretty good right there. And then his ultimate is not terrible, though I think the aiming of it is pretty tricky sometimes. And I think it could be pretty tanky a lot, that you'll be kind of hard to kind of aim a little bit. So you have to be kind of inside area or really just look in the direction you want to go for to get a better chance. So there's a little bit of a mix in some ways. You never know what you're going to discover when dealing with the stuff. But honestly, though, I feel like with Mr. Fantastic, he's definitely a pretty decent DPS, but he's only good with me with his abilities. His abilities in his own way can be pretty unique in some ways that can help out a bit. They're not as crazy strong to deal the amount that you can imagine for a DPS, but it's definitely very good to help out with your team and yourself to basically kind of get the upper hand on enemies. So he's still pretty good in some ways completely. If I had to rate him 1 out of 10 for a hero, I think I'll give him at least probably maybe a 6. I love Mr. Fantastic. His cosmetics and designs are pretty cool as well, too. I do think he's really unique in his own way, and the way he designed looks and how he acts. And definitely his abilities when it comes to everything that plays about him is honestly really, really entertaining. But when it comes to, just the overall, gameplay-wise of things, he's not terrific in my opinion, though. I don't think he's really terrific when it comes to the gameplay-wise of his abilities. He can be useful in some moments, but there is literally some moments where it does become kind of a little bit of a tricky moment here and there when you're trying to get into the action right there and then trying to get some attacks right there. But once the enemy team knows how to handle it, they're going to avoid it pretty easily right there. And even then, even if you get a hold of them, it's just not going to be a lot of damage completely to take on them completely. So this is where it kind of just becomes a problem, I would say, in my opinion, to deal with that stuff for sure. He's not a terrible hero, but I think he is definitely a weaker side for the duelist side of things, in my honest opinion. All right, so now we're done with Mr. Fantastic. Let's go and now go over the Invisible Woman. She's amazing. I actually think she's probably one of the most amazing strategist heroes that's been released so far. She is honestly really amazing, honestly, and I cannot wait to cover her abilities and stuff like that right now. So the first one is the Orb Projection, which is her normal attack right there. What her attack does, it allows her to launch a force field that will pierce heroes, and it will fly to a maximum distance before returning to the Invisible Woman, and they damage enemies as well as heal teammates. It's a really pretty good solid attack right there, and it can really help out just heal. Like, I did testing it out, and it was really healing a lot of my allies a lot. It was so good. Like, it was amazing. Heal a lot of people with that stuff. It can help deal a little bit damage, but the best part is the healing, obviously. You can get some support in that for sure. And her abilities combining is also like absolutely fantastic for sure as well. First is her passive ability, the Covert Advance. This makes it where she will enter an invisible state after some time when you disengage from attacking or do any kind of form of combat. During this time when you are invisible, you will actually heal yourself over time. Make sure you try to practice a little more better at healing your teammates and staying behind and just getting those heals going. And you can basically hopefully have a better chance of helping your teammates out completely so much. It's really helpful indeed. I really like this passive ability. It just makes it easier just to get someone out, and then hopefully when you do get back to becoming invisible, you can just get yourself healed very easily. There is also another ability you can use that can turn yourself immediately invisible, so you don't have to wait too long to use that passive ability, which I'm pretty excited to talk about. The right mouse button one, Guardian Shield. This ability allows you to place a force field in front of any selected ally, and the shield will block all incoming damage, as well as immediately healing your teammate over time while in the presence of it. Enemies that also pass through this shield will also be slowed down too. So just take advantage of that and just use that completely. It is really helpful, very much. The space bar button one, action one it has is the Veiled Step, which is the one I'm talking about. Whenever you jump and do another jump again, like a double jump, it will allow you to jump high if you need to reach certain locations, but it will cause you to generate a force field at your feet, and stepping will propel you into an invisible state. So not only you can get a little bit of high ground, you can also use it to help you turn invisible and recover your health. This is a great ability to use to escape and get your health back up, so take advantage of that and use that like hell. It's really good. Then there is the melee button, or the V button, the Agile Strike, which allows you to do a 3-hit combo attack, which the third attack will launch enemies up in the front. Kind of a not bad ability to use whenever you're trying to deal with like enemies to, like, you know, if they get too close to you for support. Obviously, I don't think it's really the most crazy effective ability, but it can still be pretty helpful if you get too much people pushing at you and you want to just melee them and keep them off your back. So definitely take advantage of this one if you can, but I don't prefer as much. Her next ability is the Force of Physics, the E button one, and this allows you to manipulate psionic energy to then push or pull enemies in front of you. So basically, with this ability, you could be able to push or pull enemies completely in this nice cylindrical spell field, and anyone who gets caught within it, you could decide they'll be push or pull completely. You can pull enemies in to help you out with getting close for you to take them out, or push them to keep them back, which is really good to use for pushing when you're dealing with like tanks and pulling anyone who is getting weak on low health and you want to take advantage of them. So it's definitely a good chance to take advantage of it completely and use that like hell very much. The push, it has a very much long radius, like range to reach out to push people, which is nice. But the pull one definitely is going to be a little bit, so you need to be very close if you want to get any enemies close to you and your allies. So there's a little more where that kind of con goes when you're playing support, so you gotta be very careful with this. And I think this ability can be very helpful in many situations when trying to weaken enemies or keep enemies back off other teammates. Then there is the Psionic Vortex, which is the shift one, and this allows you to then gather psionic energy to then cast it. And whenever you cast it and throw it to a nearby enemy, any targets within its range, once detonating it, because you got to push the shift button again, it will cause it to erupt in a psionic vortex, and it will continuously draw in enemies who are close within radius, and will start causing damage. So it's like kind of like a nice little kind of a like energy mine that will just shoot out and damage enemies, and will force them right close to it. It's still a really not bad ability that can be helpful. It's a really good way to kind of support your team by keeping enemies kind of in a stuck position a little bit, or slowing them down a bit during objectives or whatever. But I think it's still a little bit kind of requires a lot more skill in the way as it is. You really need to aim where that is got to be at. You got to really position it pretty better. Otherwise, you're not going to get the most out of the advantage of it. So definitely make sure you find a good way to launch it up and position it pretty well. Make sure you do that for sure. The last and final thing to mention is, of course, her ultimate, Invisible Boundary, and this has to be one of her pretty much best abilities, and the ultimate is really good. It is fantastic. The ability, what it does, it will manifest an unforeseen force field within a chosen area, rendering every ally inside undetectable by all enemies, and will provide healing over time to your allies, as well as make when enemies pass through this field, they will see you and your allies again, but they will be slowed completely. It's like a combination of all those abilities come into one thing right there. It is really insane. It can really help out so much, man. It really is absolutely really good. It's really fantastic. It is really good. It is just a really, really, really awesome ultimate ability. It is honestly one of my preferred favorite ultimates for any support. It is actually pretty good. It can really help out with any clutch moments, and then just especially when you're getting the objectives. So definitely place that down when you're on a very big objective, trying to capture points, or when it's like close to almost the end, especially, and you want to place that down, especially at the end right there, to help your teammates out and just keep enemies from stopping you from the objective and stuff like that. It can really help out so badly right there. Now, for my final thoughts on the Invisible Woman, I think she is one of my favorite new supports. She's honestly really fun to play. I played many supports, but she's honestly amazing. She definitely can really get a lot of healing done in many ways, protect her teammates, keep enemies away from your teammates. It just really helps very easily, very sure. Her orb projection is phenomenal. It is absolutely amazing. I love it. I think the orb projection is absolutely, honestly, a really good ability to use for healing, especially more than damage, but healing. Her Psionic Vortex does require, I think, a little more skill, a little bit to kind of ambit, but it can come in handy and clutch sometimes. Force physics can really help out with dealing with enemies who are weak or just pushing enemies aside, like tanks, like Thor or whatever. The Agile Strike, I think it's maybe her like least of my favorite abilities of her, pretty much, because again, it's not like you're gonna melee people all the time, but it can probably help out when someone's coming at you a lot. The Veiled Step, probably one of her best in my opinion, though, because I think that can help you out whenever you need to turn invisible and just go heal yourself. And her cooldown for that is nice and sweet right there, too. So it's not very long as well, too. It's like 6 seconds completely. So it's really helpful. It is really, really helpful completely right there. And the Guardian Shield... honestly, definitely, I would say this definitively is one of her favorite. Like I said about Veiled Step, but I think Guardian Shield is like definitively her favorite, like her best ability in my opinion, though. I think it's one of her best abilities because again, that teamwork of just putting that shield down, protecting them, and letting them get healed, and anyone gets close to it, that's an enemy, will get slowed down. That's amazing. I love that. It's so awesome. And then there's the ultimate, which is definitely one of my favorite ults now so far for supports. Just that invisibility buff right up to your teammates and besides you, and then just healing and slowing enemies. It's going to come in handy a lot for objective plays. It is absolutely amazing right there. So I think it's really pretty cool. I'm going to say pretty cool. And then her Covert Advance, her passability is just, unique to her, turn invisible for her as she is. I think it's pretty nice too as well in some way. So I think it could be really come in handy. So overall, yeah, I think they did a good job. I think they did a good job getting her into the game right there. I think she's phenomenal. I think she's fantastic. I think she does pretty good right there. But I can imagine some possibilities for sure that will come out from this that will really make it really amazing for her. That will be awesome for some good plays and support. So I think she's definitely wonderful to play as for sure. For me, if I had to rate her, honestly, I have to give her like a 8 out of 10. I think there's still a lot more that could be worked about her a bit more, but I think she's honestly just straight up one of the best supports that many people are going to be playing a lot. That I think it's going to be really good to see some plays moments with her, pretty much. I think it's going to be really good. So, yeah, I think they did a pretty good job, honestly. They did a really good job with the Invisible Woman, with Dr. Susan Storm Richards, so I think they did really good with her. I think she did really good. Sue is honestly amazing. I think it's going to be pretty amazing. Pretty good right there. I think they did a good job with Sue. They did good with her. I'm looking forward to get some more games with her in the future. And hopefully we'll see what combination we'll see for, like, the Human Torch and the Thing in the future, too, as well. So we'll see what happens. But there you go, guys. That is it. That is completely all my thoughts for Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. I think Marvel Rivals did a fantastic job with them, and I look forward to seeing what they'll do for them more in the future, and as well as when we get the rest of the Fantastic Four, since we still got to get the other two members, the Thing and the Human Torch. So we still got those two left. We don't got the full team yet, but we'll probably get them soon. So only time will tell. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found this pretty fun and helpful. I definitely enjoyed talking about this for sure. I definitely look forward to see what they got in store for the rest of the remaining team, and then who else they'll add in the future. Definitely let me know what you guys think about them as well. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Keep on partying, my friends. And I will talk to you guys later. All right, take care, my friends.